Hello everyone. Let's continue the presentation of the RadCORE project. In the previous video, we looked at the various ways available to display messages within the full context of features that RadCORE offers. Within this same form, I even made a comment on the first video, since we had two video steps about messages, which within this same example, from the same message daemon, we have not only the presentation of the message features, but also we demonstrate some features of the dynamic alignment that RadCORE has. What is dynamic alignment? In the first few videos, we talked about responsiveness. So, responsiveness, by itself, will already bring several benefits to the application. So, as we've seen all the examples, it's a game changer in the creation of our layouts, using RadCORE with UNIGUI. Well, the dynamic alignment, it comes to complement, right? Dynamic alignment, it's interesting when you have some kind of content in your layout that you want to align, position, stag, within some context to be able to make that layout of yours bring another effect, or you make some internal adjustment within your layout, so usually all of these. Features, right, within us, if we talk about pure HTML, all of these are common things that you would do in HTML using CSS, okay, and even some in some situations, JavaScript is too, but we, like our purpose, right, the purpose of RadCORE is to offer resources to the user without the need to apply CSS. Not that we won't apply it, okay? But so that you don't have to worry about creating CSS rules, CSS classes, okay? Taking advantage of what RadCORE offers in a much more affordable way. Okay, so let's start observing, right, the examples that RadCORE brings is about this context of dynamic alignment, okay, so I'm going to take here the examples that we have, such these various examples that we have here on the screen, okay, and I'm going to take these. I'm going to copy and I'm going to bring it in there for our example, RadCORE starter such, I'm going to put it here, okay, just so we can initially have such a spacing here at the top, I'm going to put here a little card with title, right, dynamic alignment, okay, well, let's go, I'm going to compile and let's go here, it's just observe what it is that we have, well, you're seeing, I forgot just to make that adjustment here in our block because it's supposed to appear at the top. Well then, after compiling, let's give it a refresh. So here is what we transferred from demo message to here. So let's observe the arrangement of how these buttons are here on the screen. You can see that each one has a different pattern. So you can see that here we have the buttons, they are all centered, one close to the other, here there are one below the other, one next to the other, and they are staggered according to the size of the container they are inside. Already here we have one at each point of the screen, here I I have them centered, one is kind of on top of the other. All of this here, if you observe, they are repositioning themselves, and here they are staggering according to the size of the good object. What do we have here as a resource available for us to learn in the RadCORE? So let's start here with these initials. I'm going to open up here the RCELEMENTS and we're going to focus. Here's a CSS class that we're using to just apply this button effect here that we're seeing. We're applying a CSS, but we're going to stick to this. Instruction. Center statement, the center dynamic attribute. So, what is it used for? When you need to center an object on the screen, okay? And then you'll be able to use the x-axis, y-axis, okay? One or the other, or both, okay? It goes down very well, okay? So what we're doing here, so you understand, I'm centering this button of mine on the x-axis and I'm going back 74 pixels. I'm centering it also on the y-axis and I'm going back, right, 42 pixels, okay? In this example, what happens is exactly what I have here. My screen, right, my container where this button is inside, it's not inserted, it's coming in the middle of the screen, right, but I'm going back up, 42, it's precisely his height, okay? And I'm stepping back to the side as well, right, so many pixels. If I'm not mistaken, I also put 40, not 74, right, I put 74 pixels, which is the F of it, which is the width of this button, okay, so it's joining here the 4 buttons, the effect that I caused that. I provoked switches because precisely this one, I'm centering one and I'm moving back to the left, the second one I'm centering, but I'm to the right, I'm taking it 74 pixels to the right and here it keeps going back, right, at the top of it, 42 pixels, right. This my second button, and so this second button of mine, it instead of coming over here it came over here and it kept backing up 42 to stay as aligned to this other button, okay, so we have the same situation with the other buttons. Tau here it indented. "74 pixels, such a side, just like this one here, but now it, on the y-axis, it went down, right, 35 pixels, okay, the same thing is going to happen, with this button here, it's right that in this case, here, it advanced 74 equal to this one and advanced 35 equal to the other button, so with that you looking at this example, we can achieve this effect of the buttons next to each other, very interesting, okay? So this here is just an example that we have of demonstrating the use of these resources that we have available. It's inside here of the RadCORE. Okay, so it's very interesting when we can work on this positioning. Let's see here. So our second item. So I have here now two. Situations like this, I'm going to have here my scale and my pose L, okay, so it's got my pose L right and my scale, so my scale, it, as the name itself says, it's going to scale, it's right, the object that it's present in the case of. This success button here is so it's going to scale based on the parent of that button, that is, the button is inside the block 124, okay, so according to my block 124 I want to stretch right over the width, right, I want to scale the width, the parameter w that. It's the width parameter at 45% of the size of my parent, you get it, so just with a little line like that, instead of using CSS, that thing, everyone is managing to do a scaling of my button here at 45% of the width of his parent, okay, and I'm taking advantage of it. I'm positioning it on the left pose L at 5% of its parent is. With this we've got this effect here, so it's taking here 5% lateral to position itself, and it's stretching on 45% of the block where it's inserted the width of this button, so you'll notice that the same thing I did here with the other buttons, putting it also at 45%, but I just did change the position of each of these buttons. So let's see here what I did. Once again here the scaling, and now I'm using a new attribute, which is the align attribute, to position this button of mine. So all I'm looking for, people, here, is to explain all the possibilities that we have of alignment features. Okay, so we use the POS to do the positioning, we use the center to center with the and now we're learning one more, which is the align. The align, it's going to position your component, your object, according to the position of another object. So what I'm referencing it here, I'm referencing my align to the button suite success, which is this one. Man hero. Okay, if we're going to open here our project is hero button suite success. Okay, so it had its initial positioning such, and our second button is the info suite button. It's going to align with the button suite success at the top of it. Such with 0 pixels, such at the top of it, and the right 5 pixels. That's why you're seeing here, oh, it's aligned to the top, but it's 5 pixels away to the right of the success button. Okay, so guys, it's very simple to apply this type of alignment like this. Let's see here our other button also using align, also based on the button switch success, because it's just below. It's just that I'm doing what looks how interesting here, that we have such, I'm aligning it to the top, only that the at the top of it, it's going to add the height of this referenced button, that is, the height of the lipstick success, plus 5 pixels, okay, and on the left, I'm aligning it with 0 pixels, that's why we have this effect here. So with 0 pixels aligned to this button, 0 pixels on the left, and the top of it, it's added the height of it plus 5 pixels to just have the same distance, the same side offset here that we have of 5. So, the same other buttons, we're going to follow with the same logic aligning button suite warning. So now this button, as it is now on the side of the warning, I'm referencing the warning, and I've used the same parameters that I've used here for the info regarding the button success, such in the same way the button question is also using the same reference. Okay, so I'm taking warning and adding it here, with the same parameters. Interesting, right, guys? Well, let's go ahead. This video is going to be a little bigger than the others. Okay, so now we have the others, the buttons aligned at the ends, so here I simply used the POS. L and the POST, so POSL 10 pixels, the POST 52 pixels, so it's 52 pixels here in height right of my top here of my block, okay, and 10 pixels of side spacing here on the left right the second button, such we're going to have. The post are 80 pixels and the post T 52 pixels is so also following here the same situation. So we have here from the right of it, right, positioned on the right, it's going back 80 pixels, it's right, from here from my top, it's moving forward 52. Pixels, it's right, the same thing. Now we're going to be using it with the bottom too. So according to the positioning of the bottom, pose B, pose bottom, it indented upwards, 44 pixels. Okay, the same thing is going to be with the bottom, error, where I'm also indenting. "44 pixels from the bottom of it, right, and I'm moving back 80 pixels from its right position." So with that, guys, you can see that he increasing or decreasing the buttons follow in the same position, because they are positioning themselves, such with referencing their ends. Okay, well, here, finally, we're going to It's basically applying the same as what we learned before. Okay, so this button is also using the center, it's also using the input button, it's also using the center. There's no secret here for us. We've already seen it here in these previous examples. Right here, we have it too, right? Align, which we also already know, okay, and then there was no difference, okay, so we were able to learn in this small example how we can create situations within our application that are really necessary. Okay, we will be able to apply certain situations. RadCORE has a lot of other attributes to work on. Alignment is in the next video. We're going to do a little example during our process here. We're going to create the placement of an object on canvas and apply some CSS rules to it. A big hug and see you in the next video.